The first thing we're going to do is start with a rectangle or a square. Construct them with horizontal and vertical lines to start with, and then project back in space. And there's actually 3 sets of parallel lines that you have to think about when you're constructing that. That's the number 1 lines, and the number 2 lines project back in space, the blue lines. So if you can keep track of these 3 different sets all the way through, you can do some incredibly complicated structures. These are the 3 sets of parallel lines that run through it as a grid pattern that the cube has to conform to. But you can do this just in your mind. You don't have to use a grid, but you can use a grid also. The view of the cube changes depending on where it's located in relationship to your eye. If it's right on the eye level like this, you're going to have a large rectangle and another side to it. And then when you look up under it, you'll see the bottom of it. So the bottom will start to show up. There's the 3 sets of parallel lines, and you're seeing the bottom and another side. And then when you look down at it, you get to see the top of the cube. So the structure of the cube changes depending on how you're looking at it. So one of the very important parts of drawing is to learn how to add cubes to cubes. If you can add cubes to cubes, you can draw a whole bunch of things that typically couldn't be drawn. You still have to think about your 3 sets of parallel lines when you add a cube up on top. It actually runs exactly parallel to the lower cube. And you can see the numbers 333, 222, and 111 continue to repeat into that upper structure. When I first put a smaller cube on the side of a cube, I usually sketch right where it's going to attach to that surface, and then come off of that, and then later come back and erase. Keeping track that there's still only those 3 sets of parallel lines that you have to think about. And you can use a grid with this, or you can just keep track that the lines are running parallel to the first cube you drew. And the same sets of parallel lines, number 1s, number 2s, number 3s. This is a fun one where you learn to stack cubes onto cubes almost like a stairway to start with. But then pretty soon they loop across and come back over the top of you. And you just have to look at your cubes and continue to think about your 3 sets of parallel lines. Every time you draw a cube, attach it to the first one, but then continue with your 3 sets of parallel lines as you come all the way around and underneath. And then once again, come back and do your erasing and clean it up. Subtracting from the cube is a very important aspect of this also. It uses the same 3 sets. Even when you're cutting holes into cubes, you have to use the same sets of 3 to do that. And it can get very, very complex looking, but if you keep your head organized to the parallel lines, it just isn't that hard. This one we're going to just cut holes, but just almost pulverize that first cube. And it's still only the 3 sets of parallel lines that you're having to think about. And you can see there's a hole within the hole there. Corners and the sides rather than just in the middle all the time. Doorways and windows are really going to rely on you understanding this. There's no end to how far you can go just with this. This is a whole composition within itself. Thank you for watching. I cover this as well as more advanced techniques in my video called Basic Elements of Drawing. If you're interested in learning more, please click the links in the description below. Thank you very much for watching.